My name is Davion Farris. I'm from Inglewood, California, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm gonna dive right in and just say you make falsettos seem so easy. I don't know how you pull it off, but I really want to talk about that and like how important is the falsetto to your songwriting? Is that something that you kind of consider in the beginning process of writing a song?
I in the process of writing a song, I like to go wherever the emotion dictates, right? And there is a vulnerability in your falsetto because it's it's not the same like strength that you have in your just natural talking voice or whatever. It seen from a different place. But it is sweet. That is something that I do like to. I'm glad you picked up on that. Like that is something that I do like to use. And really, it's more. I like to show the full range of my voice because my talking voice has its bass is strong, and with my falsetto I can still go up there. So.
And I feel like Bad Guy, this new single, like I feel like it really gives us those different vocal ranges, those different dynamics that you can provide. What was that initial process for you, like coming into the writing session? Did you like have the identity of the song already, or was this something that kind of like evolved as these lyrics were kind of just flowing out of you?
So this song was, and a lot of my songs come from personal experience, and so I had just had. Should I tell the whole story? No. So I just had, I had just gone through a situation where, I found out that someone that I had an agreement of exclusivity wasn't being exclusive, and being that that's not a situation that I was accustomed to, then I had to write about it, like, oh, this feels different. Being the, being I don't want to say victim, but not being the bad guy, being on the other end of bad guy energy. It was I had to just be honest about how it made me feel, because I know that I'm not the only person that experiences and goes through that, and that's what I like to do. I like to make music that from my own personal experience that's honest, so that people can see themselves in it and understand, and that it can resonate with them.
The vulnerability level of this is, even more than your previous material. So was this something that came, were you comfortable from the beginning, like knowing, all right, I'm writing the song, it's going to be heard? Or was this something that you kind of had to like sit back with it, let it marinate for a little bit before you decided to kind of say, yeah, let's release this?
I was working on an entire project, so I definitely was building towards the release. But it was one of those ones that because I was able to successfully convey how I felt, it just made me really believe in it. Because one thing I know is, and I learned this. I got this quote from Chris Hicks, who is a major music industry player. Is that if you write life, you never run out of things to write about, right? Because that's what makes people identify with your songs and makes them, not just hear them one time and move on, but hear them and then say, oh, I need this on my playlist because I need to hear this because this song is mine.
In saying that, at the same time, not running out of material, I feel like it makes it even harder not running out of vocal dynamics, vocal ranges, vocal runs, which you do a lot on this single. So how do you keep it fresh within each track that you create?
I think the idea of keeping it fresh is just really making sure you're getting to the root of whatever experience that you're writing about. Every story, every experience has its own subtle nuances, and it makes you feel some kind of way, right? Like if it's something where I'm singing about love, or I know that I'm singing directly to a woman about love, that's where your falsetto comes in a little more. You might want to hold a note a little more just so that emotion is felt, because the runs can be distracting if they're not put where they're supposed to be. I definitely let the emotion and the feeling lead. And then I feel like the placement of the the runs and the falsetto held notes, all of that just falls into place.
So you're saying these things just kind of like fell into place during the recording process. It wasn't like in your mind as you were writing the lyrics?
For the most part, no. Well, actually, no. To be honest, on this song specifically, it was as I was writing. It just that the melody came right along with it. So you sing when you're writing the song, you sing the first verse probably 50 however many times before you start singing the hook or the second verse. Or so in that process is kind of when when I start to like flesh out. Okay, I want to do a girls be the bad guy, or where like oh yeah, that one fits there because it's made, what I mean. It fits the emotion of that moment. And definitely a thing that is in the writing process a lot. Now that you made me like really think about how it works, right? It definitely happens in the writing process.
Now, did you find yourself switching up the lyrics because you wanted to have certain vocal ranges on certain lines of the song, or vice versa?
I think the lyrics would be the thing that would be changed more, because I do tend to start with melody. A lot of our artists or writers, we have this like gibberish technique. Like you can put on a song, like if let's say I'm playing like this is literally how it started. I had the chords. So the melody comes first, right? Every so often a lyric will creep through in the melodies if I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's kind of how the process goes.
I love that you mentioned that, because I was actually going to ask you, are you more of a hummer or a scatter when you're trying to like come up with lyrics? And you just kind of proved it for me right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely a scatter. Yeah. You'll hear just a bunch of made up, syllables and words and stuff. Like I'm a scatter for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So once you finalize the writing process of this track, you go into the studio. How did you challenge yourself vocally this time around?
I challenged myself by saying, okay, we're going to, instead of just doing, adding color with harmonies, like find the spots where, again, like I said earlier, where the held notes make sense. Find the spots where, you want to do some vocal, we call them, a little bit of vocal acrobatics, because it's that carries a certain emotion as well, if you do it the right way. So it's just, you got to kind of like strike a balance between, okay, I'm gonna run here, or it's like, okay, this section has a lot of that. Let me calm it down so that they can feel what I'm saying, or hear what I'm saying.
When you have these kind of vocal acrobatics like you do you have that live show in mind when you're writing and recording material, just because you want to have space for you to breathe between the, one song to the next? So do you consider that every time you're writing new material?
I believe you have to consider the live element when you're writing materials. It's something that I had to work at and get better at, but now it comes pretty naturally. You definitely take into consideration, okay, I know I'm going to need to breathe. I know I'm going to be moving around, potentially on this song, and so you don't want to make yourself sing for 30 seconds straight with no break, or a minute straight, no breath. It's unrealistic.
What would you say like challenged you during the writing process of this song? Would you say that there was a particular line or lyric that you were trying to make fit but wouldn't, or you were trying to find the right touch or feel or emotion for it?
If I can be honest, this was probably one of the quickest songs I've ever written, because it was so much about the actual experience that I had just gone through, right? Like sometimes you write songs about, an experience that's, I don't know, a few years ago, or you write a song about a story that you may have heard, but when it's an experience that you've just gone through and the emotions are heavy and rich, then it's more like venting, than writing. So that's really, this song is one big vent. That's what it is.
And saying that, would you say that once you jumped into the vocal booth, I mean, the emotions were just the raw emotion, that first initial take, most of the song?
Again, this was one of the quick. It was one of the quickest to write and one of the quickest songs to record because I needed to get that. I needed to release those feelings, right? Music. The thing about the way I make music, it really is about the release, right? If I'm not honest or if I'm not vulnerable, then it doesn't have the same effect for me, and I know it won't have the same effect for the audience. And that's what this is about: me establishing that that connection with my audience, whoever they may be, right? By being my most genuine self. So I have to be authentic in that, and then allow it to resonate.
What's that writing process like for you though, when a song like this one in particular is like pretty much asking to come out? Do you just let it flow? You just listen? Or is it one of those things where it's like, I'll try a little bit here, a little bit there, and then figure out what it's telling me?
See, that's a good one. That's someone asked me a similar question. If a song comes in one quick session, I'm here for it. But one thing that I do know is that, and I heard this in a Michael Jackson interview, he said he doesn't ever record a song in one day. He never recorded a song in one day. He did sections, or he might do like leads, listen to it for a couple of days, and hear where the ad libs should fit, hear where the background should fit, hear where he needs to put color to make the song what it needs to be. So once I saw that, that's kind of the approach that I take with my music. I don't rush it. I don't force it. If it comes quickly, I'm appreciative. If it comes over a couple of days, I'm still appreciative. I don't let that change.
Now you're also a songwriter for other artists. So how has that impacted your songwriting, going from writing for other artists and then coming in to work for your own material?
I think that's where the writing for other artists is what made me realize that knowing myself was the key to having longevity as an artist. Working alongside Mary J. Blige and Tyrese and Trey Songz, right? Those are artists who they know themselves. They know what works for them. They know what doesn't work for them. They know what moves them and what doesn't move them. And that is, that's the foundation in how they create, and the conversations that we had, in the sessions, when that turned into song placements, right, on successful projects. So it was like, okay, I see that you know what you're doing, and your thing is being honest with yourself about what moves you. And so I try to follow that.
What was that moment that you discovered like who you're all about as an artist, like that artist development discovery?
I can't say that it was a moment. I have to say that it was a process. I have to say there are several. I can pick out key moments that had the influence, right? The conversation with Chris Hicks about songwriting that taught me that as long as you write life, you'll never run out of things to write about. The interview, the several things that I mentioned, like the interview that I saw Mike do, where he said, "Don't force it. If a song does, I don't even try to finish." He didn't even try to finish a song in a day. You know what I mean? Whereas, a lot of music nowadays, we say it's microwave. Like you go in there, they have a 4-hour session and they expect you to come out with it. Like that's, that sometimes it works like that. But don't expect it to always work like that, and don't feel disappointed when it doesn't work like that. Just respect the creative process.
I feel like you, by doing it the way that you're doing it, I feel like you appreciate your music in the long run a lot more, just because you actually let it marinate. And it's like when people get a tattoo, it's like you either jump and get that tattoo, or you actually like think about that tattoo before you jump and get it.
Right.
So kind of similar situation. But have you had a moment where you let the song marinate, and then when you're finally going to go back to write it, it's like you completely scratch it and just start fresh all over again?
I would say it's been a while since I've had to do that. It's been a while since I've had to do that. Just over years of being able to hone my skills and my craft, whenever I write, it comes from a real place. So it's hard to, when you're coming from that real place, it's hard to write, something that you don't feel. I only write what I actually feel. So if I, have whatever time away from it, if I come back to it, obviously there's varying degrees of, you say, I love this, or I like this is good, but I love this one more, right? But generally I don't have to scratch songs anymore and start all the way over. There's definitely the process of, rewrites, or let's change this line, let's try or change this verse even. That happens often.
Lastly, with this new single, Bad Guy, what is your proudest moment of the track? Is it something in the writing process or something in the production process?
My proudest moment of Bad Guy is I think it's the bridge. The bridge is like that's my favorite part of the song for sure, because throughout the song I'm like taking this wholesome, real calm approach. It's funny whenever you chill, you just be texting away. It's like I'm having regular conversation, but it's like we have to be honest and say that when in these moments when you feel played, it's there is that moment where your ego is like, man, you got me, and that's the line that I read. You got me. You know what I mean? It's like, no, this is not cool. So it was like that was my moment, even in the venting, to really say, to really say how I felt and show how heavily it affected me, but to also remind her I'll be okay, because I'm me, right? But I think that was like my favorite, my proud moment in the song. That was 100% honest, and take it or leave it. That's so.
Awesome. Well, I love this track. Again, I love the falsettos and how easy you make them sound. Thank you again for taking the time, and congratulations with this new single.
Oh man, thank you for having me, and I look forward to much more music and all the support and everything. So I'm excited, man.